Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching any of my videos, you're very welcome. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to draft a two-part corset, and it's beginner friendly. If it is something you are interested in, please keep on watching and let's get started with the video. So the first thing I'll be doing right now is that I'll take 1 inch at the top of my paper, which is like for my shoulder slope. It's just a basic line whenever you want to draft. So I'm just going to take the 1 inch and I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect. So next I'm going to be taking my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches. Then after that, I'll go ahead and take my neck width, which is 3 inches. So next, I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Then I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect. So the next thing I'll be doing is to take my armhole measurement, and the calculation for that is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5. So my own is about 7.5, but I approximated it to 8 inches. So I'll be using my ruler to connect, but to make sure that the 8 inches for my shoulder, it's the same thing. That's why I'm just using my tape rule to confirm. So right now, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect like so. So the next measurement I'll be taking right now is my neck depth, and I'll just be using 3 inches for that. So I'll just use my ruler to connect like so. So right now I'll use my pattern master to make a curve at the neck like so. So right now I want to take my armhole curve, and I'm just going to divide this line by 2, which is 4 inches. Then I'll come out by half an inch, or about 0.75. So I'll use my ruler to connect like so. Then to draw the curve, I have to divide my bust circumference by 4. My bust circumference divided by 4 is about 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark it at this armhole line that I'm trying to create. So after doing that, I'll just use my curved ruler to make a curve meeting the bust circumference and the 4 inches I came out from, like so. So right now I'll be taking my horizontal measurement, and the first measurement I'll take is my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. Then I'll go ahead and mark that same 10 inches all the way like so. I'll use my ruler to connect. So I'll just go ahead and label that. Then next I'll be taking my shoulder to my under bust, which is 13 inches. Then I also use my ruler to connect. Then I'll also go ahead and label that. Next, I'll be taking my shoulder to my waist measurement, which is 16 inches, but I'll be adding about half an inch for my sewing allowance. So that will be 16.5. So I'll just mark that 16.5 all the way like so. Then I'll use my ruler to connect. Then I'll also go ahead and label it. That's my waist. So I went ahead to connect this line at the armhole, which will be my chest line, as you can see. So right now I'll be taking my bust pan or my nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple measurement is 8, and 8 divided by 2 will give me 4 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark that 4 inches on my bust point, on my under bust, and on my waistline. So right now I'll be using my ruler to connect those points I marked like so. So from my bust point, I'll mark 1 inch downwards like so, still on that 4-inch line that I marked. Then I'll divide 1.5 into 2. It will give me 0.75. So I'll mark 0.75 on both sides of this line like so. So this is just a dot line, and I'll use my ruler to connect. So your dart doesn't have to be half an inch like we normally take it. You can use 0.75 also. So next I'll divide my shoulder by 2. Whatever it gives me, I'll mark the midpoint like so. So I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect my bust points to the shoulder points that I marked, the place I divided. So I'll just connect like so. So right now I'll be dividing 1.5 by 2. It will give me 0.75. So I'll mark that 0.75 on both sides like so. That's from the leg of the dart. I didn't mark it from the middle, I marked it from the leg. So I'll use my curved ruler to connect like so. Please, if you are confused about any part of this video, don't hesitate to ask questions in the comment section, and you can also go ahead and replay the video at any point. So from my chest line, I'll come up by 1 inch like so. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing also here. So I'll just use my ruler to connect. So at this point, I'll also divide 1.5 into 2, which will give me 0.75, and I'll mark that 0.75 on both sides like so. If you're on a bigger side, I'll advise you to use 1 inch. That means if your bust is like from bust 38, 40 thereabout, I'll advise to use 1 inch. So right now I'll use my curved ruler to connect like so. This pattern I'm drafting can also be used as a bustier pattern. So if you want to draft a bustier, you can also use this as well. So right now I'm about to draft the midpoint of the corset, you know, that middle point, and I'll be using about 1/4 of an inch. I don't want it to be too wide, so if you want it wider than that, you can as well use 1/2 of an inch, but I'll be using 1/4 of an inch. So right now I'll use my ruler to mark it straight down like so. So at this point, I'm trying to get the cup of the corset, and I'll just use my curved ruler to make a connection from here to here. You can see how I'm doing that. Just watch closely. So this is it. So at my under bust also, I'll use my curved ruler to make a curve like so. So just watch closely, make sure the curve comes out very well, so that it will have a fine shape. So you can see what mine looks like. You can see how the cup came out. So right now I'll use my curved ruler also to make a mark at this other side. So at this point also, from my armhole, I'm just going to be making a curve like so. So we are done drafting our corset, as you can see, and all we need to do right now is to take our body measurements. And right now I already took my bust circumference divided by 4, which is 9 inches. Then I'll take this 1.5 inches that I have at this upper part. I'll make sure I add it here. Please make sure you add it, if not it will come out short. Then right now I'll be adding my 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. Then also at my underbust circumference divided by 4 is 7 inches, and I'll mark it here also. Then I'll add whatever it is that I have here, which is about 2 inches. I'll also mark it. Then I'll go ahead and add 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. Also on my waist divided by 4 is about 8 inches. Then I'll add what I have here, which is about 1.5 inches. Then I'll add 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. So right now I'll just use my ruler to connect. So we're done, and all I need to do right now is to cut it out. So please watch closely on how I'm cutting it. Just take your time when cutting so you don't make any mistake. So before I continue, I'll go ahead and label it so I don't get confused. So this is my center front, that's CF, and this is the side. Please make sure you label it so you don't mistake them for each other. So at the shoulder, I added about half an inch for sewing allowance. So when I'm joining, that's if you want to use a yoke for it. But I'm not using a yoke, so I don't need this upper part. So this is what it looks like. As you can see, this is what it looks like. So at this point, I'll be using my paper tape to join these parts together before cutting on my material. So I'm just going to place them together like this, and I'll use my tape to join them. So right now I'll be using this front to cut out the back, and I'll just place it on a fresh paper like so. So I'll just use my ruler to trace it out like so. So I'll go ahead and trace it with my hand like so. You can use a ruler if you want to, but I'll rather trace it with my free hand. So at this point, I will use my ruler to draw a straight line like so, meeting the other part of the corset. Just watch how I'm doing it. And this is the back. It's as simple as that. But if you want to draft your back afresh, you can also do so. But this is actually faster for me. That's why I decided to do it like this. So I want my corset to have a V shape at the back, and the first thing I'll be doing is that at the top of my corset I'll be marking 3 inches, then at the middle I can mark about 2 inches, then at the end I can mark about 1 inch or about 1.5 inches, just to give me that V shape. So I'll use my ruler to make a connection like so. So if you want to add an eyelet to the back of your corset, you can just mark 1 inch, like so. Just mark 1 inch. So to put the eyelet rings, just mark 1 inch. So I want the back of my corset to have a bit of curve, so I'm just going to use my curved ruler to make it curve like so. Sorry, my camera didn't capture it very well, but just give it a little bit of curve if you don't want it to be straight. So I'll just go ahead and cut it out. So we are done drafting the corset, and in my next video I'll be showing you guys how to cut on your material and how to attach it with your backup and boning, just show you guys everything. And we have come to the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please don't forget to do so. I'll really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.